What? You want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And yes, it is showtime once again. And guess what? It is that time once again for From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee, and I hope that you're having a good Saturday because mine's changed dramatically, but I'm here nonetheless, and I'm ready to rock and roll because why? We had a WhatNot show earlier today. There's other things to talk about the show and to just have you out there to behold and bewildered and hopefully have some live discussion here. So far we got no one in the chat, but that's just a kind of like a minor thing as of right now because we just started here. So without further ado, let's get the business stuff out the way first, which means that we got to talk about Stupid O'Clock happening 1 hour into our show. If we go to into our second hour this evening, that's really up to you guys here. That is also followed up by Last Man Standing, which starts at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then you get a little bit of a respite until Monday. And that is Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Never Mind the Furthermore with Nicholas Tockert. And don't forget about Comic Book Spectrum. And no, we are not having a Thanksgiving Day show this Thursday. So it'll be 2 weeks from now that we'll be back. Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. And it looks like we got Tori in the house. There she is. There's Tori. Got Tori in the house. That's a good sign here that we're about to have some good discussion and everything to that magnitude. Because why? We had our WhatNot show already happening earlier today, and she was there. She saw the sales and stuff that actually happened. We made a couple of dollars today. It's always good. It's like even if you made $1 off of any type of sale, claim sale, or convention, and everything, if you make $1, you have to look at it as a success. You did something right as far as making certain that you're selling your goods and everything. If you sell one, that's a sign in a positive direction. People get caught up on quantity as opposed to quality. Make certain you get the quality of the sale. Sometimes quantity is always welcome. Having selling multiples is always welcome here. So that's the key thing. But having people buy and you've been having 1, 2, or 3 sales, that's always a positive. That tells me that people trust you enough to deliver on the goods. And yes, we do have it packed up and ready to go and ready to I just have to print out the shipping labels and everything here after the show for we can make certain that everything is wrapped up, shipped up, and ready to go either Monday or Tuesday next week to the post office here. And Tori is saying, yeah, couldn't leave you by yourself. Yeah, exactly. I mean, show even with doing comic book conventions, being by yourself and having nobody coming by or nobody really looking, it does, as they say, the idle mind is a devil's playground. So having that person to talk to, having a person to bounce things off of, having a person there to talk to and keep the energy up to positivity is always great. And it said, yeah, you said most books, it says you sold most books I have ever saw you sell. Yeah. Outside of the WhatNot exclusives, that was the most that I probably sold in a long time. I mean, when I say a long time, I'm talking about since like my second show. I think my second show was like my most profitable show here as far as selling books here. And that was like the She-Hulk show that I did. where it was all nothing but She-Hulks, and people were coming, buying She-Hulk books, and I still got a whole bunch of She-Hulk books that's I could sell, but it is what it is here. But nevertheless, it is what it is. But we're going to do what I think is a lot, what I consider a live new comic book pickups for the week. Let me go ahead and do that graphic here. New comic book pickups for the week here. It's only a handful of books here. Like I showed earlier today, if you watch Comic Book Spectrum, I do have my Absolute Wonder Woman #1, the foil. My other ones, my regular cover A and B, is coming in the mail. So within either the week of Thanksgiving or the week after Thanksgiving, it should be here. We got a Newer X #1, which is the foil version here. I'm not certain if I showed these off already, but if I did do this last week, please forgive me, because they were sitting in the stack of the books that came in for this week here. But I don't think I showed these, because one of the things that I don't remember showing was the Mr. Miracle stuff that I got from Volume 1. So we got Volume 1, Mr. Miracle #9. Now this is definitely a cleaner copy of issue #9 that I don't have in my collection as of right now. We got an issue #10, another copy of issue #10. And another copy of issue #11. Now, I know I showed this one before, probably the Birds of Prey #2 that came in. And this is the version variant of, I believe this is a Spider-Gwen issue. I forgot which issue it is. Let me take a quick little look here. Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider #4. That's the foil version. So that's what came in this week here. Well, I know the Mr. Miracle came in this week. Some of the other stuff I can't remember offhand. So if you're going to call me on that, so be it. Like I said, we're in the holiday season and everything to that magnitude. And I know people know I've been working on sketch covers. One of the reasons why I haven't been showing many new pages of Primetime Saturday Night. But like I said, we got the Doomazonia. Everybody, I'm just re-showing these one more time here. The Doomazonia foot dive here. This is some of the things that people ask me to do, and I'm just making certain that I cover everything here. And I know I probably showed these last week, but I got 2 new ones in addition to the Doomazonia stuff here. I'm probably not going to do the character anymore, but that's pretty much it here. I'm not going to harp on these two too much, but I'm making certain that people understand that I still do my sketch covers. The other 2 that I'm about to get ready to show, one is half colored and the other one is I haven't started on. I wanted to color it before the show, but I ended up binging out on Cobra Kai, the last season of Cobra Kai. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of feel like out of sorts starting the show today, because I really wasn't there. So without further ado, some of the new stuff that I'm doing here. I need to get a white Prismacolor marker, and then we will have Blissed 100% done on the Powerpuff Girls Halloween special here. So yes, that is Bliss from the Powerpuff Girls on the Powerpuff Girls Halloween special. So that is good. And then my first attempt at Negative Space, and it still needs to be colored, but it's on my Birds of Prey Uncovered, and there's Big Barda. I still have to color in the stuff for Big Barda, minus the yellow. So the yellow is going to be all negative, but everything else is going to be colored in. So it's going to be pretty once I'm done. Once I'm done with it, it's going to be all pretty. And let me see what Tori is saying here. Have you read it yet? I haven't read Absolute. No, I refuse to read the foil because I don't want to get fingerprints all over it. So that's what I've been waiting for my weekly pulls to get here. And for those who may not know, my weekly pulls, my weekly comic book pulls actually come from Arkansas. It comes from they get pulled from Arkansas. So I'm got my pulls through Flames of the Phoenix Comics, and they pull my weekly comic books. So maybe like once a month or once every 2 to 3 weeks, I get shipped out a whole bunch of comics. Sometimes it may be even longer than that. It might be 2 months or 3 months worth of comics, but everything is paid for. It just sits there until it's a big enough box to justify the shipping. And as of right now, I got close to maybe $500, $500 or $600 worth of comics coming this way ever since, I want to say, sometime in August. So from like August to now. So that's a lot of comics to kind of read and inventory and get back in and everything. But no, I have not read the Absolute Wonder Woman. And the good thing about it is that not only am I getting Absolute Wonder Woman #1, I think it's 1, 2, and possibly a 3. I'm not certain if it's been out 2 months or 3 months. So I know I got at least a 1 and 2, so I could really gauge where everything was coming out. I know that I think Absolute Batman just had its second issue, so it's probably a one and just only a 1 and 2. So it's going to be a good thing here. But I haven't read Absolute Wonder Woman #1, but that is a cool thing to look forward to. There's other books that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to reading Plastic Man, the Plastic Man series, the new one that came out. So that's another one that I wanted to kind of read and everything to that magnitude. But so far, I'm happy with where the two new ones are coming out, as far as the Powerpuff Girls and the Birds of Prey. Those two things are coming out, and I need to finish up on my books here. Something that I was stating, and Tori could vouch for that. I was saying something similar to that on the WhatNot show, that I need to get back to producing my own books and everything here. The other good thing here is that I submitted some books for other people, and they should be coming back here shortly. At least they're in the grading aspects as of right now. So that is really, really good here. And in addition to that, I'm actually enjoying what I'm seeing with Cobra Kai as of right now. I mean, it's some of the things that is happening in this last season is quite messed up, but also at the same time, it's been interesting to see how they're all doing in this world tournament. And let's just say it has not been easy. It has not been easy at all. And it's just weird. It's just so freaking weird and everything. But I don't want to say it's kind of been wash, rinse, and repeat, but certain things have been wash, rinse, and repeat throughout this whole series. Of Cobra Kai, but the stakes have never been to the point of where they have been as of right now, and some of the stuff that have been done up to this point, and the development of certain characters and how certain characters are. And I will spoil one thing, and it made me glad to my heart that I actually got to saw it. I would have rather seen this fight in their heyday, but we finally got a Johnny versus Mike Barnes fight. I would have rather saw that fight, the younger Johnny versus younger Mike Barnes. But with them being older, it was fun. It was fun to watch. And it was like out of nowhere too, but it made sense. It made sense for what it was. But nevertheless, it's just one of those things that there's certain things that I'm just up here. It's like, I'm glad that it's coming to an end. And to be quite honest, it's leading down a path where everything is going to come to a final conclusion, and maybe there's a way to continue it on, but I don't think it's going to continue on with between between the two main characters, LaRusso, with Johnny and LaRusso here. So it's just going to be what it is for right now. But it's been a nice ride. It's been a nice ride. You know, the new crop of students, they're going to have to deal with life normally after all of this here. Is Cobra Kai at its end? I don't think so. I won't say that here. The new movie has a three-year jump. It's probably going to be a 3-year jump from where we're at here. We're about to, like I said, I don't want to spoil things for those who haven't watched it, but there's more information that's going to come out dealing with Miyagi, the tournament that they're going to, and the origins of Cobra Kai. It's a lot more stuff that's there that meets the eye. And for what it's worth, some things don't change, but the changes that they did make makes the series interesting. At least at this juncture, it makes it very interesting about how everything is going to happen here. You know, Daniel and Johnny, that relationship, I think that friendship slash rivalry is not going to die. But when it comes to karate aspect of it, it will. It will by the end of this series. Because it seems like there's, you know, as all this stuff is happening, Johnny has grown up a lot. I mean, a hell of a lot. But again, where we at in season 6, or at least where I'm at season 6, a lot of stuff had hit the fan already. Is there a way out of it? Yes. I don't know how it's going to end up, but the team that they took to this world tournament so far is still in it. And that's a good sign. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. From what they're showing so far this competition, they really wasn't ready. They really wasn't ready. And when I say they wasn't ready, they wasn't mentally ready for this. They really wasn't. Ability wise, yeah. Mentally so, no. But that's a whole nother can of worms here. But y'all are not here for me to talk about Cobra Kai and everything. We're going to talk a little bit about WhatNot and the fact that I'm still having problems, you know, selling comics. And, you know, that's neither here nor there, but that's not the real, like I said, for those who've been following me knows that my real reason for being or WhatNot is to transition going from the more popular comics to selling my stuff on there. So I always talked about at the very beginning about I'm a comic book creator. I have my information out there in the actual show notes and everything. Was hoping that we get a couple new viewers in here to know that we're an interactive show and we could actually talk and everything for this year. You know, that, you know, you get to know me, I get to know you, I can show you more of the books and talk about more of the books. But it's a progress, it's a process that we have to find, you know, go through and really refine and get to the point that people know, you know. And sometimes it just may take, you know, more than, you know, right now this is like show number what, 12 or 13. I mean, I've been doing this ever since, I think if I took a look at WhatNot, I think it's either March or May. I can't remember if it was March or May, but bear with me for 1 second here. Let me double check one thing here. So I haven't been doing WhatNot for very long. So, I'm not upset about lack of sales or anything to that magnitude. What really gets my goat more so is me trying to figure out what am I missing? You know, what am I not doing to get people's attention on the books and stuff that I'm selling? And it's not like I'm selling books, expensive books, real expensive books, and trying to make money off of it. It's like, what did I just sell? I just sold what was it? A Batman the Dark Knight #1 for $1. This, #1 issues for $1 is not something that most people would do. They would always try to, do cover price and whatnot here. You know, I sold first Omega Red, X-Men #4, which is usually somewhere between a $20 to $25 book for $5. To me, it's like, it was an extra one. That's the way I was looking at it. It's an extra one. It's like, why am I gonna, fuss and bother over making certain I get $20 for it? It's like, it's an extra one. Here, you can have it for $5. It's almost like, selling your books to like a best friend. It's like, hey, I give it to you for like $1 and a stick of bubble gum. That's the way that I've been treating the books that I sell out of my collection for, a little bit of extra money. But the thing about it is I'm doing it really more as a promotion to get people more interested. So when I do present my books now, my own creative own books, that they probably would take a look at it, but it hasn't been working all that much. So what does that mean? Does that mean that I might have to go back on the convention tour? Probably so, because I need to find a better distribution route. I'm really not comfortable with going to Diamond as of yet, or going through Penguin Random House or any other bigger distributor as of yet, because again, I'm part-time. I'm not doing this full-time. I don't have like a set deadline schedule to make certain that books come out on time. And the reason being, because I have a regular 9 to 5 job. I have to go in, work a regular 9 to 5, come home, deal with family and different other stuff, and then work on books, or then work on other stuff that needs to be done. If I didn't have that 9 to 5, and that's one of the reasons why, when I started looking at retiring, and with retirement coming around the corner for me real soon, I have all the time in the world to full-fledged work on comics and get things done, and have more of an actual production schedule and maintain a production schedule. So everything will work out in the bigger scheme of things. I just have to stay the course and not get frustrated with the lack of sales of my own creative owned books. One of the reasons why I try not to feel sad if I don't sell any books from my collection. It just means that I just haven't hit the right groove as of yet, as far as getting people in and just, selling the way that I need to. And Tori could vouch for this. I'm not like our good friend Henri. I haven't gotten to the point of angry selling as of yet. I don't even think I could get to that point. I really don't. I need to learn the secrets of angry selling, but do I really have it in me? Probably not. Probably not here. But nevertheless, we did promise you guys that we're going to talk about some things that kind of grind my gears here. And that's one of the things that watching YouTube videos and seeing what other comic book bloggers and collectors and stuff like that talk about. Sometimes I see things out there that just really just makes me so irritated that it's just like, you know what? Instead of just writing comments or, land blasting people, it's like, why don't we just bring it here? Yeah, and that's the key thing. And You saw it. It's like, you don't sweat the small stuff. It's like if nobody's buying what you got right here and right now, it's just inventory. And the thing about it is, like, I make it clear, unlike Henri, I'm not a reseller. I'm selling this stuff directly out of my collection. I'm not going out buying other people's collections to try to resell. I'm not doing that. I'm not a comic book store. I don't have the luxury of doing that. And that's why one of the things that I kind of admire Henri more so than anything, because he's doing most of this full time. And, unlike what most people don't realize, is that his claim sales is part of his normal revenue. Henri used to have a 9 to 5, checking in, day out with a 9 to 5, having, all this other stuff here. But he's making that transition. He's leaving, and he's been making that transition very well. Has it been stressful for him? Yes. And that's why, I actually admire him in that aspect, because he went for it and he's making it work. And Tori, that, he's been making everything work. And like I said, he's a master salesman. I can't fault him for that. It's like he knows his product, he knows how to sell his product, and it's great. I just haven't hit that stride as of yet. But that's not what the conversation of what grinds my gears is going to pop up with. What grinding my gears is when I see videos like people asking about, is it ethical for you to buy, like, let's just say, a X-Men #1 from 1963 at a yard sale for $1, knowing good and well what the cost is, and the other person doesn't. Videos like that grinds my gears, because ethics in a way is not really a commonplace thing amongst people. And that's part of the problem. It's like, when you put a question of ethics out there, the first thing you have to do is like, what is the community? What is standard for the community? What is standard for that society? And when you don't do that first, you're just pretty much making it sound like, oh, people are just going to do the scumbag thing. It's like, no, it's not really a scumbag thing. It's like, maybe they just don't care. Maybe the seller just doesn't care. Yes. For me, the ethical thing to do is make them aware of what they're selling. And they say, no, I'm okay with it. No harm, no foul. I'm not going to force somebody to sell something at a higher price than anything else. Now, if I bought it for $1 and I told him, it was like, here, keep 100, that's on me. That's me being the nice guy. You can't force them to do that. And that's type of stuff that is just it's just like, videos like that just makes me just cringe. It was like when values are getting pushed on people, or the shame on this person who is doing the YouTube, not the YouTube, but the eBay scams and this, that, and the other. It's like, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Sometimes you don't have to be overly cheap to get what you want. Just because a deal sounds so great doesn't mean that you need to jump on it either. We losing the war, if I could say, or common sense, just for clicks in a way. And that's kind of like what bothers me. And they say, yes, it is. Yeah, most yard sales have not grills. Yeah, most don't know. And if you do come across a yard sale or something to that magnitude that do have them, they really don't care. They're going to be like, no, take the whole box for like, $100. Like, we know that they're old. They probably something that's probably worth some money, but here, have it for like $150. And you're sitting there looking at you know, Amazing Fantasy 15 that you know that's at least worth 15 grand. If they're telling you it's like, we don't care, 150. You can't, force yourself to take a moral stance like, no, I can't take this $15,000 or $20,000 book away from you. I just want people just to stop and think for a second here. If they're saying go ahead and do it, if they're saying they don't care, what? And it's like, maybe you need to stop and think. It's like, well, if you did want them to care, are they willing to go ahead to get the book cleaned and pressed and then slabbed to guarantee the value of it before they sell it somewhere else? Are they going to take the time to go to like a heritage auction and then sit and wait months before they actually get their money? Probably not. Just saying. And then if you do get a good deal like that at a yard sale, it's not on them to raise their prices or anything to that matter. If you feel that was too good of a deal, it'd be like, okay, I take it for $150 and then kick in a couple extra dollars behind that as a thank you. It's like, no, just, that's for you for just, allowing me to have these books. Being nice is for the sake of being nice goes a long way out of appreciation than, oh no, I can't take this, $15,000, $20,000 book away from you. Not at $150. So I can't do. No. I'm just saying that's just, it is what it is. I say something, but still buy the book. Yeah. Now it's scumbaggery to not say anything. Yes, I will agree to that. It is scumbaggery to not say anything. But if you say it, if you let them be aware of it, and they still don't care, that's not on anybody. That's not on anybody. That's not on you. That's not on them. They're selling it because of the fact that they need to sell it. And you have to think about it. Sitting on those books and not truly understanding the value of them is not a bad thing. What's a bad thing is when you sit on the value of them and you don't know what you're doing to get the most out of it. Is it really wasting your time? And then when you don't get the actual dollar value for it, is it worth it? And then you have to also look at the bigger situation. How, are they really hurting for money? What situation are they currently in? It's like, maybe they don't have the time nor the effort nor the money to actually get full fair market value for those books. You don't know. So like I said before, if you did come across something like that and you made them aware and they're okay with it, buy it, and maybe, kick in a few extra dollars on top of that as a form of appreciation. Karma is what it is. You put positive out there, you get positive back. If you do things negatively, guess what? You're going to eventually get negative reaction back sometime soon down the line. It is what it is here. But that was one of them. Then everybody talking about, oh, the value of books are going down. I just can't sell CGC books anymore, and this, that, and the other. It's like, I just get to the point where it's just like, slow down. Take a deep breath. If you can't sell a CGC book, that tells you one of two things here. One, your clientele never really was into CGC books here. Or B, you were getting in as an investor. The bubble popped on the book that you were wanting to invest in, and now you're being forced to sit on it and eat it for a little bit until the market comes back. Has nothing to do with, CGC or graded books just don't do it. It's like, stop, people should stop slabbing. It's like, no. Like I stated before, slabs are more for preservation. Is it the best form of preserving a comic book? Probably not. And when I say probably not, it is a probably not. but it's a preservation for the purposes of if you plan to insure your collection. A insurance company would take certification of CGC, CBCS, EGS, and all these other grading companies over having a book in a bagged and board. This to them really doesn't have too much value. This is pretty much hearsay. Having that certified graded copy, they could look at book value, and the insurance company could be like, okay, fine, a 1.5 has sold for this much across these different platforms. We'll give you X, Y, and Z amount of dollars to replace it. One that's not graded, it's kind of like up in the air. It's like, who's to say? It's like, unless you got all these different types of pictures of it where people could assess what grade it is and everything to that magnitude, you might get a percentage of what one would cost. And that's kind of the thing here. Yep, too many variables. Way too many. Way too many variables. But that's the whole thing. It's like the idea of doing, like I said, the quick flip and investing, I think turned this hobby into the mess that it is in right now, as far as those who are solely in it for the investing. I'm not saying don't invest. That's not what I'm getting. I don't want people to to make my words to say that I say that I'm telling people don't invest. I'm like, no, invest your heart out, but understand how things work. That's why I feel for a lot of people who try to do the quick flip and they miss that time frame. Because if you miss that time frame, guess what? You're either going to sit on it or you're going to take a loss. And it's nobody else's fault but yours if you take the loss. Because again, you have to move quickly in quick flip and investment. And it's not easy speculating. And that's one of the things that I just don't understand, why so many books are speculated. There is no sure in this modern age, there is no sure guarantee that a book that you think is going to that you're speculating on is going to be worth a whole bunch of money. And I see it all the time, people calling out all these different books because of all these different possible TV deals and movie deals and all this other stuff. And something has been, bought, and been moved over here and being, it's being, specced out and all this other stuff. It's like, it's not a full-fledged TV series as of yet or anything like that, but the book is going to skyrocket. Those type of books, I just don't get it. I just don't see the spec on it. What I do appreciate spec on is when you're up here having the creator saying, it's like, hey, we got a guaranteed 15 issues to run this storyline in, and we got this artist who is hot as of right now doing all the covers. That's something that I could lay my hat on and spec, as opposed to what book is is being optioned. Option to me means nothing. People could buy if I could say, a comic book idea or a comic book series and have it option, and it still never comes out to TV. And then with certain options, that team can't write anymore. So now all of a sudden it's like that book went to be optioned for like a Netflix series. So after they wrote, let's say, issue number 5, you don't see another issue to maybe 2 or 3 years from now, when it's no longer up under the option contract, where the NDAs fall apart. And now you forgot all about that series and everything, and now they're up here talking about, oh, we're going to relaunch the number 1 and probably pick up from where they left off in a new volume. But then again, that also goes back to TV series and all this other stuff not really looking at source material. But, when I see stuff like that as a whole, and more people start talking about how, graded books are bad, speculation, and all this other stuff, I don't think they put it in the proper perspective. And like, I'm just so tired of sky is falling type messages that is getting put out there. And one of the other things that I kind of wish was not as popular is when a book, takes a hit where the bubble burst. And when I say the bubble burst, it's like that threshold to make your big money off of a 9.8 suddenly goes away, or the book is on a decline because the popularity of it goes away. I think recently I saw a video from Bryce Comics talking about the possibility of graded books now getting a higher, if I could say, point of return, only because places like CGC is taking longer to get books graded. And if that is the case here, he was looking at the whole thing of supply and demand type deal. So if it's taking longer for books to get graded and slab, it might drive up the demand for that graded book. And it's like, what? That actually makes sense. But also that also goes into speculation too, meaning that if you don't have an audience that's looking for that 9.8, you're still in the same boat, and you're still running into that time frame window of, well, if this movie comes out, I need to have all of these types of books graded. Will I get them? Would I have them before the movie comes out and before the movie actually hits theaters, or that's a bubble that is missed? That's a time frame that is missed, because if it comes after, guess what? Those who really want it, at the height of its popularity, not going to be able to get it. Spider-Gwen is a great example of this bubble that has popped. Yeah. Where was it? It's like this book right here. I think because it's foil, it might be no more than a $20 book now. Before it might be a higher dollar book, probably somewhere between like 50 to 100. But I think this is no more than like 20-25 bucks now. I mean, that's the perfect example of it. It's like a lot of the Spider-Gwen stuff, like even Spider-Gwen #1, the bubble has popped on that. The bubble has popped on Laura Kinney, all new Wolverine #1, Thor #1 with Jane Foster Thor #1. Those books have, the bubbles have popped on, and it doesn't mean that the books are not valuable, but where they were selling for 4 figures, now they're back down to a lower 3-figure total. And when we say lower 3-figure total, we're talking about somewhere about like $150 to $200 type deal, or even less than that. So when people treat books like the stock market, it doesn't work very well, because again, comics is more like supply and demand. I mean, it's not as stable either. And with a lot of the stuff about, and this is one of the things that gets me about how people spec on things and everything to that magnitude, with the advent of the variant cover and taking that in consideration, when you have issues that come out and they have 15 different variant covers, the issue number itself it's the issue number itself going to have more copies in the long run than people realize. But the forced, if I could say it in this aspect, the forced rarity of a cover does not justify the increased cost for that issue. The reason being is that there's more availability to get that issue with the variant covers coming out than anything else. So it doesn't always drop the print totals, the total print count for that issue. And that's where the spec gets it wrong. Perfect example. Well, I don't use that as an example because I always go back to Gen 13 number 1 for volume 2. The 13 different variations of Gen 13 number 1. And even at this day and age, there's even more variant covers of that Gen 13 number 1 for anniversary editions and stuff like that. Does that mean that volume 2 number 1, that volume and volume 2 number 1 is going to be rare? No. But the cover variation might be that you probably want will be rare. Two different things. Two separate entities. But your likelihood to get a Gen 13 number 1 volume 2 from volume 2 goes up dramatically because there's so many of them. Now, to get the rare variant cover that you want, that's a whole different can of ball, that's a whole different ball game here. And Tori is saying, yeah, Magic 1 has 6. And I'm like, why? And the thing about it, with 6 different covers, and knowing that they have 6 different covers, the variations on those covers are going to have their own print count no matter what. And they're still going to have to print out a cover A with a bare minimum of 40 to 50,000 copies. So ask yourself, with 6 variant copies, with 5 different variant copies plus the cover A, are you really going to run out of Magic 1? Probably not. But how hard will it to find that 1 in 100? That's the real question. And that's one of the things that people spec the whole issue on. It's like that 1 in 100. It's like, no, that's just one variation of it. It does not mean that getting a Magic 1 is that hard. The only book in the recent modern age of comics that I know of that became rare instantly for the cover A was the new Ultimate Spider-Man 1. I know a lot of people was looking for that A cover, and that was the one that was printed the most, and it sold out across a lot of different places here, the cover A. And that book, I know for a fact, had at least 15 different variant covers. But the cover A, the main cover for it, was hard to find. Which makes me wonder, did they purposely underprint that cover A? And if they did, then somebody in marketing started to understand spec correctly. Because now you could actually say, to get a first print number 1 Ultimate Spider-Man 1 from this newer volume would be harder to get because of the low print count for the cover A. Not because there's multiple versions of it out there. So your likelihood to get a issue number 1 is tremendous. It's great. You're not going to miss out on getting, a copy of issue 1 of Ultimate Spider-Man from this recent release here. But to get that original cover A, it's probably going to be some tough sledding, because they ran low. They did a low print count of it, and because of that, all the other covers are going to seem more common. I mean, I would like to buy them. Oh yes, but at $5 a pop. No, if they can't, if they did over two, I'll buy one of both. To me, it becomes more along the lines of, dare I say it, the bean counters counting on those people to buy variant comics. I said this before, and I would say it again, and I would probably die on this particular hill too. And maybe you guys will agree with me, and maybe you would disagree with me here. Most upper echelons at these bigger publishers are not caring about the stories as much, what's in the stories as much. They're only caring about what we're willing to buy. And what we're willing to buy now is a lot of the higher end variants from a lot of the top current artists at this point in time. Therefore, that's one of the reasons why, like, for example, let's take you made mention of Absolute Wonder Woman #1. With one of the reasons why I think I got 6 different variant versions that coming my way for that book. It's either 5 or 6 that came out for the Absolute Wonder Woman #1. And the only reason that happens is because they know that people are going to go out there to buy the variants. They're up here looking at, oh, we can make money off of this if we do it right, as opposed to which cover actually sells the story the best, because we want people to it's really into the story. They don't do that anymore. They just like, we want money, and what's the best way to get money? Let's have this famous artist, that famous artist, and that famous artist, and that famous artist also do variant covers for us. Their fans will go and flock to buy them, and we make our money that way. That way we don't have to pick and choose. We don't have to, feel like we made the bad choice. But outside of that, I just want to make certain that that I addressed your issue here. It's like, yeah, it's like I got a super limited Captain Marvel #1. The most current volume is 5 for $5, and I was like, yep. I mean, those are the types of things here. I mean, what was it that I just picked up not too long ago? I forgot what series that I just asked about. I know the GI GI Joe, the redoing of GI Joe #1. They the Energon universe. GI Joe #1 had about 5 or 6 different covers. In that, I ended up getting 4 of them. And it doesn't make any sense for having that many variant covers, but at the same time, when they're like, standard price of a comic book, you don't mind it as much. But when you get into that, cover A is regular price, cover B is regular price, cover C is like $50, that's a problem. And it's like, people don't want to get stuck with the $50 book as the only option that they have when they go to the comic book store. And considering that, that $50 one would probably be like a 1 in 25 or a 1 in 50. And you got, 50 people on your pull list asking for that cover A. And then, the guy off the street is like, hey, you got this issue. It's like, yeah, we got it over here, but we got the 1 in 50, which is $50. That makes him feel kind of crappy, because you don't have that many extras beyond your pull. I mean, I know people, buy a lot more. As like I talk to store owners a lot more, but I'm just saying, there are certain scenarios where it's like, comic book stores only buy as many as what their pull list is, plus maybe 10. I always go back to the recent Ultimate Spider-Man #1 cover A. I could see that flying off the shelves like hotcakes, and people left all the variant covers alone because everybody loved the look of what the cover A was and didn't mind. Everybody kind of fell in love with the story because of it. And what does that do? It drove up the price of that book. The variant covers didn't do that, only the cover A, the one that they wanted to sell the book with. But that's stating a lot more here than anything else. And it just, it's kind of is what it is for right now. But, those are kind of like the things that been, kind of grinding my gears when I look at the overall landscape. And we haven't even got to production as of yet, that's a whole different ball game when you talk the business of comics as opposed to what we go through as collectors. The collector's aspect is one thing, but when you're up here producing your own books and everything, the price of printing, the price of shipping, the price of just getting the materials to ship the stuff in, not being able to have better distribution lanes and everything, and not being able to contact comic book stores that may be interested in your wares and stuff to that magnitude, or haven't heard of you and won't take a chance on you. That's a whole different, grinding of gears at that point. But that's an understandable one because it'll be one business trying to talk to another business to supply them with something that they sell. And if they don't have the clientele for it, they don't have the clientele for it. It is what it is. One of the reasons why, if you notice that certain sellers would say, I'm for independent comics, and other ones that are like, no, I want to stick with Marvel and DC because that's what the majority of the people that buy from me wants. And you got others that like support indie comics, because of the simple fact that indie comics is the lifeblood. If there's not newer people coming in creating new stuff, everything will fall apart. All right, Tori, have a good evening here. And yeah, I might as well go ahead and wrap up unless there's more people out here watching the show that want to, chime in and everything, because I got about 2 people watching as of right now. I think Tori's about to get ready to drop off here in a moment. But it's been a pretty decent talk here. I'm not going out here ranting and everything. I know people love for me to rant, but when my gears get grinded, I don't always rant. It's just more along the lines like, let common sense reign here. It's like, the sky is not falling. Everything is not bad in the world when it comes to comics. It's just more along the lines. Hey, it's a two-way street here. Like I stated before, some things can be prevented with caveat emptor, like the buyer beware, and other things are just more along the lines. Just be aware of some of the things that are out there. And one of the things that I always say is like those who always want to blame CGC for a lot of these scandals need to really look at themselves in the mirror and look at how the CPR process is not bulletproof. We're causing those problems for scammers to be able to use to their best advantage to take people's money. If we wasn't showing people how to crack open the case and everything to resubmit, and when I say resubmit, their part of the resubmission process is to give that old label back. You're actually throwing off a lot of the data too when you're not giving the old certificate when you resubmit it. But a lot of people don't realize that either. So, that's a whole nother story for a different time here. So on that note, I'll let you guys have the rest of your Saturday here. Until next week, we're going to be coming back to you on Small Business Saturday. So remember, shop local on next week's Saturday. And if you need a place to go to shop local, hit up my website at cgcstudios.com and get a couple of books from us. Won't cost you that much, and you might, give a comic book lover something that they like here. So live life, grow, and be well. And I'll see you next week right here on From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. Have a good rest of your Saturday, and we're out of here. Bye.